Friends, the 8th chapter of Matthew's Gospel tells us that Jesus provided miraculous physical and spiritual healing for many. Crowds gathered, desiring to see more miracles. The Gospel says, "Now when Jesus saw a crowd around him, he gave orders to go over to the other side." So, only a few closely linked followers managed to continue to be in Jesus' company. The Gospel adds, "And the scribe came up and said to him, 'Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go.'" Friends, this scribe belonged to a group of the fanatical religious class called the Pharisees. It seems that he saw an opportunity to gain for himself privilege among the crowds following Jesus. He saw that Jesus' closest followers were simple fishermen. Among them, he would stand out as an important religious person. It seems that he wrongly thought that following Jesus would bring him social prestige and material benefits. And Jesus said to him, "Foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head." The Gospel says no more about that scribe. Obviously, this specialist in Jewish law lost interest in following Jesus. Friends, the Gospel goes on to say, "And another of the disciples said to him, 'Lord, let me first go and bury my father.'" Interestingly, this one was already among the close circle of Jesus' followers. It seems that he desired to go away to join in the tradition of extended funeral and the family division of his father's estate. Jesus' response challenged his divided interests. Jesus said to him, "Follow me and leave the dead to bury their own dead." Friends, by leaving the dead to bury their own dead, the disciples understood what Jesus meant. He referred to living people who are not physically but are spiritually dead. The Scriptures describe this as being dead in sin and trespasses. Spiritual death is a reflection of being separated from the holy, life-giving God. It ultimately leads to physical death and judgment. Friends, the Gospel clearly teaches the true nature of following Jesus. Contrary to the corrupt and abusive approach of advocates of the prosperity gospel, true commitment to Jesus is rooted in following his attitude of servanthood. Any who think, like the Pharisees and the scribes, that following Jesus gives social prestige or control of others are greatly mistaken. Following Jesus is truly about living his self-giving style of love. Later, Jesus told his inner circle of disciples, "The Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many." Hallelujah.